What is up, side hustlers, entrepreneurs, business builders, and dream makers? Welcome to the Set of Your Side Hustle Podcast, episode 49. And this is another nightcap late episode. The reason for that is because I am sick, and so I tried to spend as much of the day sleeping as I possibly could. But I'm committed to making sure that we have an episode go out every single day of the week. So here we are with another nightcap episode, guys. I'm so happy to be here with you today, and I am going to be laying out some real stuff about my business and my life experiences to you today that hopefully you can learn from and you can do better than I have done. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to share two stories with you guys that are both stories from today. And from those stories, I'm hoping that you can learn two things. And so if we're lucky, I can learn that lesson and I can be better in business tomorrow. And if we're lucky, you can learn that lesson and you can be better in business tomorrow as well, because I have made some mistakes and this is me sharing those with you so you don't have to make them. First story is a prospect that I've been in discussion with for about a month. This prospect is one that came to me as a very warm lead. The person who referred them to me is actually already doing work for them, and they quite like them. They're even having discussions at this point about becoming partners. So very, very warm lead, very, very easy sale. And then I constructed a very specific, personalized plan for them, exactly according to their needs. They loved it. They were excited to get going. And then when I sent them the proposal, they signed the proposal. When I sent them the invoice, they suddenly got cold feet. And I don't know what's happened with that. The verdict's still out. I've been assured that there is still a good possibility that we're moving forward together. However, there was cause for hesitation, and so they did not sign the invoice. And so who knows? Perhaps I get very lucky, and tomorrow on my birthday, they decide to move forward, and hopefully they get very lucky too, because I think that I can do an amazing job for them, and I think the service will be beneficial for them. It'll also make them the largest client that I've had in quite some time, and so that's exciting for a lot of reasons. So the question there is, why did they get cold feet? What happened there? And what I've been told, though I haven't personally talked with the prospects, so this is all what I'm hearing from our mutual acquaintance who's referred me. What I've been told is that it is simply the case that when I sent them over the invoice, and the invoice had on it 3% charge for a credit card transaction, that to them set off a red flag. And why did it set off a red flag? Well, a couple reasons. Well, from what I've been told, this is telephone game to an extent, but I'm taking it all as true because there's a lesson to be learned here, and that's why I'm sharing with you. So what they expressed to me was that the concern from the prospect was twofold. One was that it they believe that I should be willing to incur that cost, and that seeing that I wasn't willing to incur that cost suggested to them that I didn't have experience working with these type of projects, which I'll respond to that in a very technical, real sense in a moment. But know that the truth behind their suspicions is actually secondary to what's important here. And then their other concern was that they felt that should have been communicated more clearly. So now I'm going to respond to those two concerns that were just shared, and I'm going to tell you my honest opinions towards those concerns, and then I'm going to move on. I don't want this to sound as though I'm making excuses or I'm being defensive. I don't think that I'm in a heart posture where I am defensive, but I think that there's some truths that are helpful to know for this whole story, especially when it comes to the lessons that I want you to learn from this. Okay. So to the first concern, that they felt that this was a cost that I should be willing to accrue. So I will just be candid with you guys. I have never included any fees in my pricing. I've always said that all fees are just grouped into it. So I've never included taxes, and I've never included a transaction fee. The exception to that is when I work as a fractional CMO. Why? Because when I started working as a fractional CMO, which you guys know because it's a very new thing, started with this podcast. When I started working as a fractional CMO, I just took advice from others who had had success in the field. I have a personal connection who worked as a fractional CMO quite successfully. He helped a company grow from $100 million in annual revenue to $160 million in annual revenue in 10 months as a fractional CMO. And I have the blessing of knowing him and being able to talk to him and getting his contract and his advice on how to set up contracts as a fractional CMO. And what I was advised was that I should charge them for the transaction fee. One, because it's industry standard. And if you do anything that deviates from industry standard, that will send a red flag to anybody who has experience with industry standard. And two, because I should make it apparent that they are paying for my time and my time is valuable. And that is the primary asset that they're paying for. And so I'm not willing to reduce my time, the value of my time. That's the advice he gave me. Now, this same individual runs a marketing agency, and in his marketing agency, he doesn't charge transaction fees. But it's actually for the same reasoning, because when you're paying a marketing agency, you're not paying for the skill set of an individual, you're paying for a service. And so if I was hired as a marketing agency, which I am often, I still don't include those fees. But when I am sending a contract as a fractional CMO, I do include those fees because it's what I was advised to do by people in the field. So had I never been given that advice from experienced people who have been doing this longer than I have, I wouldn't have included that. And so this entire drama would have been completely avoided. So that's why the fee's there, conceptually. Now, to the other part of they felt that it was poorly communicated. Well, we had several conversations, and the last conversation we had when they said, yes, I want to move forward, I said, great. So just tell me which option, because I gave them 3 payment options. Let me know which option you want. Once you let me know that, I'll send a proposal for that option. That proposal will point out that proposal will point out the charge for whatever option you choose. It's going to have a 3% credit card fee if you want to pay with a credit card. And then as soon as you sign that proposal, I'll send over the invoice for whichever option we decide on. Okay. So I said it verbally. Then I sent them a proposal, and it says it explicitly in the contract. They signed the contract. And then I sent them the invoice. So this is the 3rd time they're seeing it. And it's the first time they're concerned about it. That's what it looks like to me. Now, is it possible that even though that's how I normally say it, that I didn't say what I think I said? Absolutely. Nobody has perfect memory. If they don't remember me saying that, then that's on me, right? But it was in the contract. They didn't see it in the contract. You would say, arguably, well, that should be on them, right? Because they are supposed to read a contract, and if they don't agree to if they don't like the terms, they shouldn't sign it. Fair enough. And now, before I get to the lessons that I want us to learn from this, I want to actually steer another direction, and I want to share another story with you of something that I've experienced today. Okay. So I have another a project where I have a percent profit share deal with an individual, and we still haven't quite figured out our rhythms, frankly. So I am operating most of the time from the mindset of this is a white label partner. He's white labeling services to me, which would mean, if that's true, that all client interactions are on him. Right. Now, that being said, I do have some interaction with the clients. I like to get on the sales call so that I can help close the deals so we can make money. And I do have interaction with clients as necessary. So here's where the attention point came that I've experienced today that now we need to work through. One of the things that I'm doing, actually the primary thing that I'm doing with this individual, with a specific client of ours, as we're working as a team, is I'm running Facebook ads. And so I have, in the length of this relationship, I have constructed and ran 3 ads. I ran an ad to beat a control that they had. It crushed their control. It was amazing. I didn't expect such incredible results so quickly. Then, after we turned their control off, we ran a second ad to start trying to beat our new control. And they have another offer that they need promoting. So I just started an ad for that offer. Okay. So today, we get an email from the client where they're concerned about the creative on the second ad that I mentioned in that list. They think that this creative is not aligned with their brand. They think that it's disjointed, and they're not happy with it. And then they're asking us to get all creative approved through them before we run. Now, a couple thoughts on that. One is on my personal opinion. I think they're wrong. I think we should be allowed to run this ad, especially if it performs better. I think that the concerns that they've explained are actually perfectly counter to what the creative and the messaging of the creative actually says. But that's my personal opinion. What I think would be more successful with the ads. That's a conversation that we might end up having at some later point, but that's not really the focus right now. And again, this is, you can probably hear this, that you're like, there's a little defensiveness here. There is a little defensiveness here. I think I've been hired as an expert to do this, and I know what I'm doing. But I need to make sure that I'm not presenting it that way when I talk to them, if I talk to them. Because remember, I said that my understanding and the way that I've been thinking is that I am working as a white label partner. I don't have direct interaction with the client. I have direct interaction with my partner. And so what I've done is with all three of those creatives, I have told my partner explicitly what the creatives are, what I'm doing, what I'm changing. I've shown them the creatives, and I've gotten their approval on it, and then turned the ad on. So I've actually done what the client is currently asking for us to do, which is get all creative approved by them before we run it. And if you do that, and there's this kind of disagreement, it can be a discussion ahead of time, and then nobody's defensive about it. Because I'm sure that if I bring up to the client why I think this ad should be ran at this point, that they'll be defensive, I'll be defensive, it'll be tougher. Okay. So that's just two interesting negative experiences that I've had today. Experientially negative. I think long term, maybe they're both good because maybe we learn from it, maybe we grow from it, maybe you guys learn from it. Now, here's the lessons that I think we can pull from these and that I'm trying to pull from them and I'm trying to make true in my life and in my business. One, communication, right? The breakdown in both cases was poor communication. In the first one, it was poor communication because I did not clearly express prior to them seeing it on a charge that there was going to be a fee if they wanted to pay with a credit card. I believe that I had expressed that clearly. However, if I had expressed that clearly, but when they got that the invoice, they wouldn't have seen that as a reason to hesitate. Right. And now they're concerned that maybe I'm not as honest as they thought I was. And maybe there's other things that I might try to slip past them. But from my perspective, I've never tried to slip anything past anybody. I try to be very transparent and honest, and I dropped the ball there. Right. The second example is, again, there was a communication breakdown. It was my understanding, though it was assumed and not explicitly stated, that these creatives were being approved by the end client. But those were assumptions that I was making, and that's a clear correction that we need to create in our systems. So I'm just as responsible for that as my partner is. And what I just did that time explaining it is the second lesson that I think we need to get out of this. And it's what I'm trying to teach myself right now. Take responsibility. If there's if you did 99% right, if you were 99% of the right, then you were 1% of the wrong, take responsibility. I've actually honestly learned this more in business from working with Carlos Redlick than I have from anything else, because it's phenomenal the way that he just owns it. We've worked in situations where I've done white label work for him and I've made mistakes and I've seen him own it and take responsibility and not even blame me for it to me. And I've again worked in situations with him where I've done white label work for him where I've seen the client do something wrong or something being the client's fault, and he takes responsibility and he owns it, and he owns it when responding to the client, and he owns it when talking to me about it. And I think that's incredible. That's the right way to go. So staying calm and collected and owning it and saying, yeah, you know what, that you are correct. That is something that we need to address and that we will correct that moving forward. That kind of communication and posture just seems healthier for everybody. And also it incites us to grow and to be better moving forward, which is incredible. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today. I hoped that I was going to have an interview for you tomorrow, but that interview was going to be recorded today. And based on my own health, I dropped the ball on that. I actually had someone amazing lined up that would be incredible to have on the show. And they said, yeah, I'm down to do this time. Send me an invite for this time. And I never sent them the invite. I was sick and I kind of just spaced on it. So I didn't get to interview them today, which means tomorrow is going to be a solo episode. And I'm going to try to get them on next week. I'm just being honest with you guys, just owning my mistakes. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Can't wait to be back in your earbuds once again tomorrow. Love you guys. God bless.